What's going on, guys? My name's Theoatrix, and in today's video I'm going to explain the new death mechanics in a lot of depth. I'm pretty late to uploading about this update, and that's because I was making a guide for the official old school channel to explain the mechanics. If you want to check out that video, the link is down below. I felt like uploading a more in-depth version to my own channel to clear up any confusion that you might be having about the update, or if you didn't see the one on the official channel. When old school Runescape was released in 2013, upon death your items would drop to the ground and would be available for you to pick up for only 1 minute before it became visible to everyone else for 2 minutes and then permanently disappeared. In 2015, the amount of time you had to retrieve your items after dying increased to 1 hour, and other players could no longer see or get your items. This was done due to server issues and disconnections. Players could disconnect from the server and be unable to re-log in time to get their items back. Well, now a gravestone appears instead of your items dropping to the floor. You get 15 minutes to go and grab the items that you lost, but the 15-minute timer only goes down when you're logged in and only when you're active in-game. If you stop moving your mouse or moving around, the timer stops until you move the mouse and start playing again. So now if you disconnect or your power goes out for over an hour, you won't lose the items like you previously could. Also, when a game update came out, any items that you had on the floor from dying would disappear forever. But now the gravestone will be in the same spot as before, even after the game update. Your gravestone is also available on every game world, so if you forget which world that you died on, it's not a problem anymore. To find your gravestone, you can open the world map, and in the interface you can view the location of your grave indicated by a red arrow and then a big gravestone icon where you died. When you're nearby to your gravestone, a small red arrow, then a yellow arrow shows where it is on your minimap. When you reach your gravestone, checking it brings up this interface, and that lets you collect your items. You can also right-click it and loot the gravestone, and that instantly gives you everything in the gravestone in case it's in a dangerous area. To get those items back though, there's now a fee. For items under 100k, there's no fee, so that less wealthy and newer players don't have to break the bank to get their items. Items over 100k cost you 1k, items over a mil cost 10k, and items over 10 mil cost 100k. For each item, they all stack up, but there's a cap of 500k for retrieving them. For ironmen, these values are half because it's a bit harder for ironmen to get GP compared to the main game. The cap is 250k for ironmen instead of 500k as well. To view how much the cost is going to be, you can go to the items kept on death screen, which now allows you to see a lot of different scenarios. It's a great idea to check here before you do anything dangerous, so you know exactly how much you'll need to pay. Supplies like food and potions are dropped onto the ground and don't go into your gravestone. They last for 1 hour on the floor, the same as before the update, and this is so you can make food stacks at bosses still. If you die while you're going back to your gravestone, the items that you lose on your second death will go into the first gravestone where you died in the first place. And also the 15-minute timer restarts. But if you don't manage to make it back to your gravestone after that 15-minute timer runs out, the gravestone disappears and your items are then taken to Death's office, which you can access close to the spawn locations across Runescape. You can enter at the Lumbridge Graveyard, at the coffins in Edgeville, near the altar in Camelot, there's an entry in Falador Castle, and there's one in the northern region of Prifddinas. There's a cap of 120 stacks of items that can be stored at Death's office, and these items last forever. But the retrieval fee at Death's office is a lot higher. The new cost is 5% of the item's value for anything that's over 100k. So for example, if you lose an Amulet of Torture which is 16 mil, it costs 800k to get back. If you lost a Twisted Bow, which is 1.2 bill, it would cost 60 mil to get back. Of course, a Twisted Bow is probably going to be one of the items you keep on death, but it really puts into perspective how much more you'll need to pay. Ironmen also get a 50% discount at Death's office, so a Torture Amulet will be 400 instead of 800, and a T-Bow would be 30 mil instead of 60. A lot of people thought that this update made dying even less detrimental to your account, but if you consider the huge fees that you need to pay, it's actually a massive gold sink compared to what it used to be. At Death's Office, you can also change the look of your gravestone, and currently there's only one other type of gravestone, the Angel version. It costs 200k to change, and you can change back to the original one for free. Just so you know, no one else can see your gravestone, so you can't really flex having the Angel gravestone. It's only visible on your account. Inside Death's Office, there's a coffer where you can sacrifice items to add money into the coffer, and that money can be used to reclaim items. You can't withdraw from this coffer. This is awesome for ironmen that have a lot of spare items that don't have a very good alch value. For each item you sacrifice, you get 105% of the grand exchange value. But you can't withdraw from this coffer, so the money that you put in there can only ever be used for getting items back. As an ultimate Ironman, you don't have a gravestone. The mechanics are similar to as they were before the update, where your items remain on the floor for 1 hour. But the only change is that most untradeable items are now dropped as well, which is actually a massive benefit for ultimates. They can now more easily access the wilderness and other dangerous areas because untradeables like the herb sack and rune pouch will be dropped to the floor. So ultimates can die with these items to have them dropped for an hour, then go into the wilderness or wherever, and then come back and get these untradeables without having to risk them. Ultimates didn't get a gravestone after this update because leaving items on the floor has been a big part of the game mode, and it would dramatically change how the game is played. Dying in PvP hasn't really changed a lot. The loot still goes to the ground after PKing someone, but the only change is that untradeables that you can go and get off the ground, like god books and god capes, will end up in a gravestone. The system also works the same way in the wilderness as it does in the regular world, as long as you're not killed or attacked by another player. So if you're doing Wilderness Slayer or bossing and die only to a monster, then you'll still get a gravestone. Under level 20 Wilderness, the mechanics are as normal. Any untradeables that you die with will all go into your gravestone. But if you're above level 20, untradeables will disappear forever, which is the same as before the update. So like before, don't take items like your Void or Fighter Torso above level 20 Wilderness, because if you die with them and they're not one of the items you keep on death, you will permanently lose them, even in PvM. A few minigames and bosses have had an item retrieval service where you need to pay a fee to get your items back. These places haven't changed, and you'll still use the same retrieval method as before, and there's no gravestone. With the gravestone update though, Zulrah now has a 100k fee to get your items back, where it was previously free. But that fee only applies if you have over 50 Zulrah kills, so if you have under 50 kill count, the cost is still free. There's a number of instanced areas in Old School, particularly for quests, quest bosses, and private bossing rooms. Previously, dying in one of these instances, you would permanently lose those items, and there'd be no way of getting them back. Now, with the Gravestone update, a gravestone appears outside that instance, so you'll no longer permanently lose any items. This change also affects Ultimate Ironman, but instead of a gravestone appearing outside the instance, those items will appear on the floor outside for 1 hour. Dying inside a God Wars boss room has also been changed, where before the update, your items dropped on the floor inside the boss room, and that made it kinda hard to get your items back since you need to get kill count and also tank the boss while you pick up your items. Well, now a gravestone appears outside of the God Wars boss room. So these are the main issues that have been fixed with the Gravestone update. You no longer need to worry about disconnecting or power outages since the timer doesn't go down when you're logged in. Game updates are less dangerous since your gravestone will remain in the same place as it was before the update. Previously, if you hopped world after dying, it could be very hard to find the world that your items were lost in. Since your gravestone appears on every single game world, it's no longer an issue. Dying in an instanced area where you previously would have lost your items permanently is no longer something to be afraid of since the gravestone appears outside. So that's the death update in a nutshell. I hope this cleared up any questions that you had. If you're still unsure about something, leave a comment down below and I'll try get back to as many people as I can. About a week ago, I restocked on 3 designs of gaming mouse pads on my merch store. There's now the Ulm, Wilderness, and Magic design back in stock. The Wilderness design is by far my favorite, and the artwork was created by the legendary Legend Arts. He makes incredible artworks for Runescape, probably my favorite artworks out there, and he gets a share of every mousepad purchase as well. So if you want to check out my merch store, go to merch.theoatrix.net. Be sure to check out the official video that I made for Jagex. I've linked that down in the description. Thanks for watching.